It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week we're preparing our next Disney trips with a Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Oh, okay. Exciting.
Yeah, I definitely changed my calendar around a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the royal we, or are you personally planning a Disney trip? Because that's a thing that you do, so I don't know what to think right now.
We'll talk about it. We both got a chance to jump into the new Halo, which surprise dropped on Monday for everybody. Mm-hmm. The Spider-Man trailer is here, folks. It finally dropped.
Yes.
We no longer have to guess, oh, will it be coming this week? We've heard it's coming this week. No, it was here. It was last week, and boy, howdy do we have some words about it. So very excited for this.
Yeah, this is episode 351, yes. And my distracted self has been scrolling through TikTok for a while now, and I came across a video where somebody was saying these things are surprisingly copywritten, and you might not know it. And in our intro, I say we love TV, movies, and superheroes. I didn't know the term superhero was trademarked, copywritten, whatever you want to call it. And it's shared between DC and Marvel. So I guess legally they're the only ones allowed to use it. But I think like we can say it all right. Like just like how you can actually legally say Super Bowl, like no one's going to come sue you. But I don't think you're allowed to like put it on like flyers and marketing materials. But who knows? We could have been infringing on these very companies that we talk about for the last 351 episodes. But yeah. I just wanted to put that out into the world. We're criminals, and that gives us more street cred, you know?
Well, I hate to shoot you down, but since I went to marketing school, I had to go through copyright classes, and we're actually fair use, Mike. I hate to tell you, we're not criminals. We're not rebels. Put away your jacket. Get rid of your tattoos. Especially that teardrop I know you're getting underneath your eye right now.
Well, also, we're really bad criminals because I think occasionally criminals like make money, and that's the one thing this podcast does not do. So no one can say that we're using the term for financial gain. That's for sure.
Criminals get to be in the news, and we've not gotten that far yet.
We just talk about the news. We don't get in it. We just talk about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're only like a month away from being through 2 full presidential terms of the show, right? Is that...
that's true.
Or starting year 8, one of the two. We have been here a long time, and we've been through at least one whole Spider-Man franchise at this rate, so that's fine. I have to go ahead and apologize if I'm a little loopy. I just got in from Texas for work, and I was telling Mike this. My flight was suddenly delayed for 12 hours yesterday. So from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning.
Like that's not even like a delay anymore. Once it goes into another calendar day, that's just like, no, we trashed your flight. We'll sell you a new one basically at the cost. But yeah, we're putting you on a different plane, a different day. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I got some weird sleep hours and a lot of Uber rides around to stuff. So they love me. So I'm out of it. But with that, I have literally been out of town for work this week. So I haven't got to do much. I did. I shared this whole journey with Mike about going to a Buc-ee's for the first time.
Buc-ee's. The only reason I know about Buc-ee's is because it's like this. I know it's this iconic like store of sorts down. Is it just in Texas or is it the Southwest?
It's south. There's supposed to come one to Kentucky, but I know it's like south of probably the Mason-Dixon.
Gotcha. And there's a few like YouTubers and social media personalities, that are infatuated with Buc-ee's. And just the mascot, because it's just this doofy looking. Is it a beaver? Is it a chipmunk? Did you ever get the down low on what it is?
There is in fact a beaver tail on the merchandise, Mike. So yes,
okay,
it is in fact a beaver.
And why would I know?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say he's a rootin' tootin' rad beaver because he's got like a little red hat and everything. But but you went there. I've only ever heard about it. You went there.
I passed several. For anyone who asked, yes, I ate at Whataburger. I love Whataburger. They also have In-N-Outs, but we did not stop there. They were only in the city. But we went to Buc-ee's. If I was to describe one more, it's essentially like the Costco of convenience stores, like gas stations. So you walk in, it's everything you could want, everything you need. Bucky has a brand of everything. In the middle is like a little it's like a big oval. Half of it's desserts and the other half's making hot sandwiches. They slide out on these racks to take and go. And then one of the things I shared with Mike was the beef jerky deli case. Like it's oh
my gosh,
like 30 foot of a deli case of various beef jerkies that they're apparently making in this store. And then once you get past all the food, snacks, convenience store stuff, you get into one of the biggest merchandise sections of a store I've ever seen. If you can put Bucky's face on it, by God, you can buy it there.
They're putting the House of Mouse to shame. I mean, I feel like I've been in, plenty of Disney gift shops, and, you get a nice handful of Mickey, but, like, I swear, they're slapping that beaver on anything, right?
Yeah, that's things I would thought we'd never say on this podcast. But, shirts, hats, shot glasses, wine glasses. They have holiday themed ones. There's Thanksgiving ones. There's Christmas ones. And then I came across a little golden treasure. The Bucky onesie, Mike.
Oh my gosh.
It zips up in the front and even has a little Bucky head with a hat for the hood that you pull over. And here I am in the middle of Bucky's trying to find the right size for me. I'm literally putting these on. I'm like, in a pandemic, I'm doing this in a gas station, and the employee, she was loving it. The lady helping us was loving it. She's like, no one else would ever do this. We're like, yeah, we know.
She's like, nobody's buying these.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, thank God, I will never see any of these people again. I'm like, oh, have you ever heard of TikTok? We can just upload the footage from the security cameras on there. I'm like, son of a bitch. So if you see me trying on a Bucky onesie in there, so I ended up buying it. And you know why I bought it? The only reason I bought it because Bucky's merchandise is the cheapest merchandise I've ever seen. That onesie was $25, Mike. Had it been any more, I probably would be like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to stuff this in my suitcase and explain it to airplane security why there's a huge Bucky onesie in my luggage. But I ended up buying it. I sat in it all day as well when I got home today. So it's been an adventure. I definitely loved it. I enjoyed Texas. It was cold. It was actually like 40, 50 degrees when we were down there, and you wouldn't think that about Texas, but oh well. But I've been doing that literally all week, and then with an extra 12-hour delay. So I am just completely out of it. And now, Mike, you ended up using your week instead to watch everything under the goddamn sun.
I watched everything
that you have not seen in the past month or so. So
yes, I will step up to the plate and I will fill in your very worn shoes from the last week, Chris. And I watched a little bit of everything. I'll go a little out of order because I know Chris here is looking at the show notes. But on Tuesday was my birthday, and I'm at the age now where you don't disclose your age because you just don't want to look down the barrel of death anymore.
He turned 21, folks. He had his first alcoholic beverage this week.
That's right. But I decided to celebrate my birthday. Usually how I do it is I go down to Disneyland. I think it's great. I hate planning my birthday. I don't hate celebrating it, but I feel like no effort should go into it. So I loved it because I could just always do Disneyland every year. But I don't even know how to get, I'm overcomplicating it in my head, but there's a new fast pass system. You have to buy your ticket, and then you also have to reserve a place to get into the park. And I just don't know how it's working, and I just want the dust to settle, and that's when I'll go back to the park anyway. But so I was like, let's just go back to the movies. I'll catch some movies that I haven't seen, and that'll kind of be my birthday treat. So we went and watched The French Dispatch and Last Night in Soho from Wes Anderson and Edgar Wright. And it was great to go back to the movies in the evening, even though it was on a Monday and a Tuesday that we saw these. The theaters were relatively empty. It was kind of nice because most of the time when I'm going to the theaters, it's for a big kind of action, set piece film. So it was kind of nice to go back and just kind of enjoy cinema, if you will, Chris.
So you actually bring up a good point here. So one, I've told Mike not to tell me anything about The French Dispatch because I've not been able to watch it yet. I've been waiting for a coworker who was on vacation. He's back, so now we're looking at times. But I was unable to see Ghostbusters Afterlife this week because of my 12-hour delay on this. So we will not be talking Ghostbusters. However, I am looking at going Tuesday after work because I feel everyone's going to be traveling for the holidays, so that theater will be pretty empty. So it's glad to know that you enjoyed your weeknight theater experience.
The only thing I can really say about the French Dispatch, it's unabashedly Wes Anderson, right? So if you like Wes Anderson, it's a safe bet, right? But I don't think this is going to turn the tides for any person that was either ever on the fence or, haven't formed an opinion yet. So, if you like Wes Anderson, you're getting it full force with the French Dispatch. Last Night in Soho was interesting, very, very vivid, very intense. I went in hardly knowing anything about it, and it was a fun time. I would say pretty middle of the road for the most part when it comes to Edgar Wright. But I think one thing that people forget about Edgar Wright is he really retained and built all of his fan base really on the back of Simon Pegg writing his movies. And I'm sure they collaborate great, and he's still a great filmmaker. But I think I enjoyed Last Night in Soho maybe more than I did Baby Driver. And I just thought Baby Driver was good, but incredibly overrated. So I'll always go to the theater and watch something Edgar Wright style, and it felt like if I could have watched them back to back, that would have been fun too as well, because they're both kind of like iconic directors now. They're lucky enough to where they have like a built-in fan base that they can kind of get whatever they want made, right? So it was a fun time heading to the theater to watch those. But now I'll hit you real quick with all the other stuff I watched, increasing in maybe polarization. So to start off, Dogs in Space. It's a Netflix cartoon show, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's animated, and it's dogs in space, and they're genetically modified dogs sent off into the universe to look for a new home for humans. And it's kind of like this interesting mixture of, it's definitely a show kind of aimed towards kids, but it's got a very broad kind of all ages appeal to it. So there's obviously like no swearing or anything like that, but they'll push the envelope a little bit here or there. All of the dogs have very kind of like lovable personalities, right? So it kind of works well with the tone of the show. But Dogs in Space, check it out. It's a fun voice cast. Like every dog is like somebody, an actor that you've heard before. Haley Joe Osment, he's the captain of the ship. I never remember his name, but Chidi from The Good Place and also Love Life on HBO Max, he plays a dog. Like everybody's a dog. There's so many dogs. It's great. So go check out Dogs in Space.
The title reminds me of again a Muppet thing. They did Pigs in Space in the old Muppet show, which was a spoof on Star Trek. So that's funny that's what my mind would do.
Exactly. So if I'm going in the order here from polarization, probably the next one would be Wheel in Time. That was a brand new series, I would say premium series, that was added to Amazon Prime this weekend, and I believe it's based off a book franchise. Yes. I don't know anything about the franchise. I don't know about you, Chris.
We have I don't personally. My wife teaches fifth graders, so they know a little bit more. But one of our listeners, Marshall, I believe he's a huge fan of this series. I hope it is the series. So I know he's listening. So give us some bullet points or what you think of the adaptation, at least for us.
Yeah, there's 3 episodes available now. We only watched the first episode, but I am always in the contingent of I will watch anything expensive just because I want to see how the money gets paid. And I would say you get a pretty exactly. You get a pretty good like. A final act of the first episode that has some fun visual effects, some fun creatures, action, fight scene that I think's hooked me enough to go through the rest of the series. There's like this really intense, brutal moment that I won't spoil it, but like it's something that I've always thought of. It's where I'll be as vague as possible. One character kills another character in the first episode, and it's like honestly very shocking and brutal. Especially for the fact you've only really been with these characters for about 40 minutes when it happens, and you're just like, whoa, that is intense. I can't believe I've never seen that type of thing happen before in like any sort of like media, the way it goes down. So like that has me like really hooked, and it doesn't really happen either with like the main character. It's just kind of like side characters. So it was pretty intense. So I'll end my vagueness and just say I'm hooked, and I'll probably watch more of this. So Wheel of Time is a recommend for me. So let's go, I would say, next to Red Notice, which is a movie that came out 2 weeks ago, which, just like I said before, I'll watch anything that they spend a lot of money on, and I can't imagine a movie that stars arguably maybe the top 3 movie stars out there right now, with Gal Gadot, Ryan Reynolds, and The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson, whatever he goes by officially now.
He's a rapper. Leave him alone.
I keep hearing that freaking song that he's in the back of TikTok videos, man. But it is so incredibly average of a movie. And maybe that's not a bad thing overall. It kept my attention for the 2-hour runtime, whatever it ended up being. But well, I think I said this in our group chat before, right? Like, not only are these like the top 3 probably paid and hireable actors in Hollywood right now, but they also always play like the exact same character in every movie that they're in, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
So someone on the airplane Thursday was watching this on his phone. Like he had his phone propped up on the plane watching this movie, and I'm like, oh. But I could see the movie like very clearly from where I was sitting, and I was like, this looks like literally the least amount of effort any of these 3 actors have ever had to put into a movie. They just show up, be themselves for a few hours, and then go home, and everyone wins because nobody hates them. So.
I will give props to Gal Gadot though, because I felt like she actually really tried to play a different style of character in the film. Not drastically different, but it seemed like maybe she was pushing herself a little bit more than the other 2 actors. They definitely set the film up for a sequel, and I'm positive a sequel will happen because I think that I read some of the headlines when this movie came out on Netflix over that weekend. It was like the biggest Netflix premiere that they've ever had, and who knows what that even means by numbers, right? Because they hold on to all of the numbers. So you'll be seeing more of this. So I think it's worth the price of admission, which I would say is free, right? But it's incredibly average. So if you have to do the dishes, put this on in the background. If you're working out, put this on in the background. Studying, doing homework, put this on in the background. So last up, I think everybody was expecting this maybe to be the most polarizing thing out there this week, and that is the live-action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop. And Chris, I still have not fully formed my opinion on this show.
Okay,
yet.
don't say anything yet. I gotta crank through some more of the anime before I get there.
Gotcha. Well, I'll say I've watched 3 episodes so far, which is equivalent to what the critics received before it came out. So I'm at least on par with what a lot of the reviews are using to be the foundation of their opinion of the show, and I can't decide if I love it or hate it yet. It's so strange. It's incredibly campy, but sometimes you can't tell if they're doing it purposely or accidentally. And then at the same time, are the special effects bad or are the special effects good because they're trying to hit this vibe? And then it's like, are they trying to literally interpret the anime too much? Or should they be trying to do something different? Like, it's definitely a lose-lose situation, right? When you're adapting something so beloved, because you're always going to turn people off no matter what you do. I don't know where to set my brain. So I feel like I'm one of those video game reviewers, right? That put out their thoughts, but they refuse to give it a score, right? Before they've played the whole game. Because, that was like a whole drama when it comes to reviewing video games of just like, how can anybody review a 40-hour game when they've only had it for like a couple days, right? To review it. So I kind of feel like I'm in the same vein for Cowboy Bebop. All I can say right now is I really love the relationship between Jet Black and Spike, John Cho and the actor that plays Jet Black. I really love their chemistry on screen, and haven't seen a whole lot of Faye Valentine just yet, but she's been really good when she's popped up. So I mean, that's good, and at the core of any piece of entertainment, you want, good chemistry and good performances, but I think you'll totally understand what I mean, Chris, once you jump into it. It's just like, it's strange, and that's all I can say right now is it's strange, but you can say they didn't play it safe, and I feel like there's been a lot of adaptations where they have always tried to play it safe, so I think you'll run the gamut of opinions on the show if you go look them out there. So Cowboy Bebop, I think maybe we should do a spoiler cast maybe on the first season if we end up finishing it in a reasonable amount of time. Yeah,
well, the only thing I've heard of is the character Ed is confirmed to be in the show.
Yeah, unfortunately, people have been uploading the clips of the reveal of the character. I don't know what episode it happens in, so I've scrolled as quickly as possible whenever I've come across it, but I have had a visual confirmation of what the character looks like, and so I'm just kind of waiting to see what it feels like once I see it within an episode. But it is going to be probably one of the most polarizing things I think Netflix puts out, this year. But wow, Cowboy Bebop. There you go, people.
All right. Well, let's jump into the news then. Let's get into this because we got some stuff to get places to be in this episode. And the first one we're going to talk about is Hawkeye, because Hawkeye is going to drop on Wednesday, Mike, with 2 full episodes of the 6.
My brain knew this was going to happen, Chris.
Yeah.
Because I had a dream last night where I was an archer and Hawkeye, I was there. It was one of those weird dreams where, like, sometimes you're Hawkeye and sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're watching them and sometimes you're not. So, like, archery has embedded itself in my brain. So I am mentally ready for Hawkeye on Friday.
It's Wednesday.
Or is it Wednesday? Okay.
Yeah, they're all Wednesdays now for some reason. So you can actually talk about this before Thanksgiving if you get to catch it on Wednesday. So yeah, it's dropping 2 episodes. It's a 6-episode miniseries, so it'll be done before, or I think around Christmas, with Book of Boba Fett starting the week after. So they're cranking through these, and this will be, I believe, the last of the Disney Plus TV shows they announced, wasn't it? At Comic-Con we were at. After this, we get to go into like She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, all those other fun stuff. So very excited to see this, and I was thinking about the other day, he's really the only original Avenger who didn't get his own movie at the end of the day. So we'll see if this leads into something or where it goes. Because it's really, to me, this is interesting because the stakes aren't world-ending, right? Like, we are so used to, like, world-ending stakes and all these other kind of shows. And he's just dealing with some thugs in New York, it looks like. So I'm very excited to see. I literally wear, like, oh, my God, the Earth isn't going to be destroyed by Ultron kind of thing again. So it'll be a little better. So
just
check
some
that out.
Thugs and jumpsuits, man. Just some thugs and jumpsuits.
Exactly. That say bro a lot. The are they called the tracksuit vampires? I believe is what they're in the comic books. But anyway, that'll be it. We'll talk about that next week. We'll have that at the end of the episode. Moving right along here. Spoilers for those who have not seen Eternals yet. However, this is official stuff being released at this point. So if you don't want this, we have time codes. Jump around. Patton Oswalt did some motion capture for a character. That character being Pip the Troll. And come to find out, he didn't just do the voice. Probably would have been easier. But he actually did motion capture for this little CGI scene that was all of like, what, a minute long? Maybe 2 minutes long? So he does look like a little troll in all this stuff. But I assume maybe they gave this to him for playing ball with his MODOK series. And, not, it's like, hey, we're canceling your show, but guess what? You can be a CGI character in our movie.
Yeah. I mean, he's been growing in value just every year with his like nerd cred, right? I would say side by side, along with the value of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, his nerd cred has been growing as well. So I think he's just to the point now. It's just kind of like, let's just bring him in. We all like Patton Oswalt. I'd like to meet Patton Oswalt. Let's bring him into the motion capture. I'm sure he'd be down, right? Because that's one thing that you get right with when nerds become famous is you just get like an overall appreciation. The actor, I told myself I was going to remember how to pronounce his name, but I cannot internalize it. The actor that plays Appa in Kim's Convenience, and he was also the X-Wing pilot in Mandalorian. I watched some interviews with him, when he was getting that X-Wing and that Star Wars role and everything, and like it was just nothing but just appreciation. And I can't imagine how great it is to work with somebody like that, right? You don't have any like diva-ness, right? Of are they going to be mad about the call times or anything like that? They just want to be on set working with the creative. So I'm sure that's an easy decision. Yeah, and then also he was in multiple seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. So he plays ball with the Marvel people. It seems like they seem to enjoy him. So this is good stuff you can check out here. The second photo he included, where he's like with the one with the orange arrow, looks like it's in the volume, because I'm like, that's not really a forest behind those people. That looks like it's projected, doesn't it? Yeah, a little bit.
Like, is this like the edge of the volume, like before they step into the actual set? I don't know. He was also never
Paul Sung Hung Lee. That's his name. I will try to remember that one.
Yeah. Well, since he has been cast in the new live action Avatar, right? We can talk about him. We'll talk about that later. Probably not today. Probably as I want to see some official photos from that show. So, but also. I don't know why this guy's on set with the trees, because he was never in the actual movie other than the spaceship, right? So looks like they're just using CGI stuff all around in regular places. All right, next up we have Blade, and Blade has got a new cast member, Delroy Lindo. Now I know he's in The Harder They Fall. But I know he's been in more stuff as well. And I didn't.
Oh yeah, he's definitely one of those faces that when you see him, I'm familiar with this guy. He's one of those.
Exactly. I know. He.
I remember him from the. I remember from the Core. Isn't he one of like the scientists that's on that ship that's drilling to the center of the Earth?
Oh, most likely, very much most likely. I always see him and he's like either playing like something really serious in a goofy way or something else. I don't remember. But anyway, he has been cast in Blade as an unknown character. And some people are thinking it might be maybe his father in the movie as well. Like maybe Blade's father, but I don't know. I really have no idea, Mike. This movie is a big question mark for me. I know we have an actor and a director and I believe a scriptwriter, but like we don't even have vampires proper in the MCU. Like this is like a big nebulous thing of good things, but like, I want to know more. How are they going to do this, Mike? How are they going to pull this off? But the more they cast, the closer we're getting to see what that looks like.
I was just looking at Mahershala Ali's age and Delroy's age, and theoretically it could be a father. They're separated by about 22 years, so it could be a father figure.
Yeah. Or I mean, it could be his. I think his dad was a vampire, right? And his mom's not. That's why he got her. His mom's bit by a vampire while she was pregnant with him. I don't know. But like we always have the Whistler character in the other movies, which was Chris Christopherson. So, so we have some of that going on with Blade. Now, here's what I didn't know you didn't know about the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. That's what do you know about this? Anything at all?
Well, the only thing I know about Guardians of the Galaxy in general when it comes to the Disney parks is the only thing that really Disney World itself can build east of the Mississippi, right? Due to Universal Studios down there having most of the Marvel characters, is just kind of stuff that's not in the contract. So they're just like, yeah, let's build as much Guardian stuff as we can because it's probably the most well-known IP we have right now that is outside of that Universal Studios contract. So that's the only thing I know, when it comes to Disney World down in Florida.
Yes. So Guardians of the Galaxy, I believe... probably since it came out after the fact, right? It falls outside of those contracts or whatever. So they have been working at EPCOT to build a Guardians of the Galaxy called the Cosmic Rewind, opening this summer of 2022. Now, this isn't the only Guardians of the Galaxy ride. You guys have one out there, right? They turned the Tower of Terror into the Prison Escape. Is that?
Yeah,
Mission Escape or something like
that. It's a fun time. I would assume that they'll do something similar when it comes to the music of just making it just a party in your little trolley car that you're in, just with a bunch of fun music throughout the ride.
Yeah, and for this, it's the first reverse launch coaster at Disney World. And one of the longest fully enclosed coasters at Disney World as well.
Oh, so I'm guessing the gimmick is you go one way and then you go backwards?
Probably. It's called Cosmic Rewind. So whatever story they're telling, there's probably some sort of time travel or back and forth. My guess is going to be similar to when they do the space jumping, when they're traveling through those portals and it's all wonky. It's probably something like that. But it's a family coaster, so and it's a storytelling ride, so I think it won't go very fast. It'll just be interesting. the Frozen roller coaster, quote unquote coaster, which is like a log ride, indoor log ride at Disney World Epcot. It goes forward and then it stops and then goes backwards the rest of the way through the ride. So it could be something like that.
Yeah, there's a Universal out here. I don't know if it's the same in Florida, but out here they had a mummy ride based on the old kind of Brendan Fraser mummy movies that went one way and then went backwards. And it was pretty fun. So fun gimmick. Definitely worth waiting in line.
Yeah. And I Epcot's pretty up there for me. I really enjoy my time at Epcot. And you know, anytime they're like I said, breaking outside the envelope here, I'll definitely go with that. And then also Glenn Close will return to reprise the roles Nova Prime for this ride. So she's not been in the movie since Guardians 1, so that's good to know.
Do you think she's anywhere else in the park as 101 Dalmatians? What's that character's name again? Cruella, yeah. Can you have two Glenn Close appearances in one park at once?
Well,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I will see if I can get a photo op of the Glenn Closes, so we can check that out. But that's opening summer 2022. So I was gonna try to go this spring, but looks like I'm going next fall maybe, and booking this ride. So I'm gonna check it out. Black Panther Wakanda Forever has had another setback, Mike. Actress Letitia Wright had an injury on set a couple months ago. Apparently, they were filming without her while she was recovering, but it's bad enough where she won't be able to come back till at least January or February of next year. So they've halted production until she can come back. And this is, as far as I know, before we go down that road, this is an actual injury on set that she was hurt in, not everything else.
All I will say is that when I saw this news pop up and I looked at the replies and comments on social media, as everyone was just like, just get rid of her, just take her out of the movie. Can you imagine if she was if Chadwick was still around, like, you know, battling cancer, and she was, you know, refusing a vaccine, and he would not, no one would put up with that, you know, on set. So that's just what people are saying out there on the internet, you know. That's just, and I'm just saying I'm inclined to agree with them. That's all. So I'm curious what will happen in this like downtime. You know, is somebody going to go back to the script, maybe move some things around, cut some things, change the endings to maybe minimize a certain character? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I don't know if they want to change the script a third time. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, I don't think the movie will be delayed. It was recently pushed back till November of next year anyway. So my guess is this won't affect the release date at all. They'll be able to knock out whatever's left with her and go down that road. Scarlett Johansson is apparently working on a top secret project with Marvel Studios that is not related to Black Widow, Mike. I think this came out with either one of the producers or even Feige himself said this earlier this week. And so I don't know what this would be. If it's not related to Black Widow, is it an animated series? Is it something else? Probably not an actual movie, I think.
Well, I guess no love lost with the whole lawsuit that happened earlier this summer, but
she probably got a really good deal for this to make up for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I would just assume it could always go either way, right? You know, it could be like something just ego ruining, right? Or, you know, realistically, it's just a bunch of lawyers in a room talking to each other, and then you just kind of wait to see what the lawyers say, and then like all the creatives just get back to work because they don't really care. They just want to make good stuff. So, you know, maybe that's how it ended up going.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, her disdain was with Disney, not Marvel as it is. So it's probably if she was able to work out that stuff, and you know, her reputation and longevity in Marvel as her character probably would see through. So
and it should be noted, I believe Kevin Feige was always outwardly supporting Scarlett Johansson, even during, you know, that box office debacle when it came to the Black Widow. So Marvel Studios related. Yeah, I guess if you were to push forward in the timeline with the character of Black Widow, even though it says it's not related to Black Widow, you know, could be something multiversal or something like that. But I think animated does kind of feel right. Right?
Yeah.
Because you can bring back her voice role possibly, but even then, that's still Black Widow related. So what does she want to do with Marvel that's not related to the character of Black Widow? I mean, would you just play a different character? I don't know. Maybe, I mean, who knows? I mean, once like an actor is kind of within, the Hollywood. Within the soup churn of entertainment for long enough, they kind of want to start making their own stuff. We heard the same thing from Chris Evans when he was kind of throwing around the idea of maybe retiring Captain America. Was he wanted to make stuff, he wanted to direct stuff. So maybe Scarlett Johansson wants to do that as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of opportunities. I know she's one of the main characters in the movie series Sing or whatever, right? So Sing 2 is coming out. That's why I put animation to her, because I'm like, she's working in that stuff lately. And she could literally be somebody else, not Black Widow related. But yeah, I think if she wants to do anything, she can probably do it. I mean, she's got enough pull, and I think she's like one of the most highly paid actresses for a while there as well. So, yeah. You know what? Maybe she wants to play Miles Morales in the upcoming Spider-Man movie.
Well, she did say she could play a tree, right?
Yeah, she did. So that brings us to our next thing. So Sony is talking about developing a live-action Miles Morales movie. I don't think this is a matter of if. I think it was more of a matter of when and who was going to do it. So, yeah.
Well, we all know what I think about this, right? Because I think I bring this up most of the times when we talk about this character on the show of who owns Miles Morales, right? Because obviously the Sony deal with Marvel was made well before the character was ever created. So was there a legacy deal on that contract of every time a new character is created, Sony owns that? I mean, that seems pretty steep, but I suppose it could exist in a contract. I mean, Marvel was in dire straits, and selling off these characters to other studios kind of kept them alive and kept them afloat. So there could have been a provision in there, but at the same time, maybe it's a gray zone, right? And the studios are just, maybe they're going to start kind of like vying out there in the public. We've already seen that happen before with Marvel and Sony. They start throwing rumors and tidbits out there and gauge the temperature of the reception of the public out. So maybe this is the first shot across the bow of Sony's just like, hey, guess what? We're thinking about doing Miles, and then maybe Disney's going to step up and go like, hey, you don't own that character. That was created after this contract was made.
The problem with your logic there is there literally is Into the Spider-Verse, which has Miles in it. By Sony.
Yes, but I mean it's an animated property though, so who knows when it comes to that.
Animated Spider-Man is all Marvel. That's why all the TV shows are through Marvel. So that one is confirmed. That one's not a guess on the animated stuff. So I think my thought process here is they planted the seeds for Miles in the first Spider-Man movie, right? By having what's his name?
Donald Glover
in there. So what if it's Sony is my guess is Marvel and Sony have already worked out these deals. Whenever they had that big breakup, what was it, last year, 2 years ago or whatever? Like where they're like, we don't know where Spider-Man 3 is gonna be because we're all fucked up in the head. But I think this might be something where they've already worked out the deal. And there's probably Miles Morales, but what if it's Sony is developing it, but it's in the MCU, like literally Spider-Man is right now? Like, what if it's the same way? But like Sony, all that detail has to come from Sony first before it can get to.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that is obvious at some point in time, Miles is primed and ready to go. Right, we've already had now 3 franchises with the character of Peter Parker. Nothing wrong with that. I love Spider-Man. I love the character of Peter Parker. But I mean, what's this whole universe doing is pushing forward, adding new characters, people picking up new mantles. I mean, Tom Holland's not going to be Peter Parker forever. I mean, actually, when you think about it, I think people think, the Spider-Man character is still relatively new and fresh because Tom Holland's young. The character, didn't really pop up into the MCU until it's like Civil War.
5 years
it seems
now.
like he's fresh. But like he's now in December going to have like 3 of his own standalone movies. Like I've lost track on what other Avengers movies he's like popped up and been in. Like he's been out there, he's been active, he's been in it.
Every year except I think 2020 he was in something. Like
so I mean the character is foundational right now to the MCU, so it makes sense that you would see Miles soon.
And Sony's had a hit with their video games, right? Their Spider-Man and their Miles games, so there's definitely room for both Peter as he gets older, out of high school, and Miles to come into the same world he's in, literally with Sony and Marvel. So the
big question I would have is the big kind of pivotal moment in the comic books that kind of makes Miles the Spider-Man is, will they kill off Peter Parker / Tom Holland? I mean, it could be a very emotional moment, right? I mean, we all saw what happens, when you have Tony Stark die in the MCU. It's a big emotional deal and impact, and I would imagine it would be almost even worse because, Peter Parker is, he was an adult in the comic books. Well, in the Ultimate Universe, was he technically an adult when he died?
He was 16, and Miles was only 13. Yeah, they were actually younger. But in the Ultimate Universe, Peter actually didn't die. Everyone just thought he was dead. And then eventually Miles was merged into the main universe. So there's a lot of options they have to kind of go down that road, because even in the video game, Peter's mid-20s maybe, and Miles
he's
is
out
like
of college
6.
and everything.
Yeah, he's been working, and stuff. So and he's Miles is like 16 or so. So there's options whichever way they want to go with it.
Yeah. Obviously, this character is primed for the big time. So who's going to pull the trigger? The most obvious answer, like what you brought up, right? It's a joint venture. We've been doing it successfully with Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So let's do it as Miles. I wonder who the casting is going to be. Is it going to be an actor that we're familiar with? I wasn't familiar with Tom Holland at all when he was cast. I remember Googling his picture, and he's got a big mole on his face. I bet he gets that removed, and I bet there's some people that don't even remember he had a big old mole on his face.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything bad with it, but movie stars typically don't have big defining, stick out features, on screen. But yeah, I'm curious to see what the casting is going to be. Is it going to be a multiversal pullover, or is it just going to be like a kid who lives? He lives in, is it Harlem or the Bronx? I don't remember. I don't remember that. But is it just going to be like a kid who's just like living, just with his parents, watching all this stuff unfold on TV, and then, gets powers, and then, great power, great responsibility. I'm still waiting for that line, right? I'm curious when we're actually going to get that line. Is it going to be maybe Peter saying it to Miles, and that's when we finally hear it again? Yeah. They're like, it's like they're toying with us.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities here. And I think also there's an opportunity here. We don't know our Spider-Man's background, right, in the MCU, how he even got his powers. So there's an opportunity here for them to explore that and also give us Miles at the same time.
Well, yeah, we're going to get a lot of that in the animated show that they announced.
Yes. So there's definitely... hell, they could even introduce him there to start before they even do some casting. So definitely some choices there. And also in terms of the Marvel, or I guess just Spider-Man world, not Marvel, but Michael Keaton said he was out shooting some Vulture stuff this week. What other movies are in production right now? I'm pretty sure No Way Home's locked. Morbius is probably locked. Is Craven doing some filming? Venom 3 isn't starting to film yet, so I mean,
Michael Keaton is the reason why reporters and interviewers are always asking every actor who's tangentially attached to the MCU questions about the MCU, because you would think normally they wouldn't say anything, right? Because they're not supposed to. But it just takes one Michael Keaton to let it slip that he's doing quote unquote Vulture stuff, and that's why they're always going to get asked, because they want that leak, they want that that exclusive, the scoop.
And Michael Keaton, sadly, is one of those actors you can't really fire him. He's been Batman, so
he's a veteran. He doesn't care. He's a great actor too. Yeah. So if you don't want him to talk about Vulture stuff, I guess you just got to be more explicit with him.
Yeah, just have a little conversation with him. But I think there's an opportunity here for it to either be some Craven, maybe some early screen tests, or is this a Spider-Man No Way Home end credit scene or something else extra we've not seen yet that they've been waiting to film to the last minute?
I mean, that would be pretty crazy. Who knows? I'll throw my dice out there and say maybe it's something for Disney Plus. I don't know if that's ever. We've yet to see anything like Sony disseminate into Disney Plus. I'm curious if that will ever happen, but who knows? Maybe Vulture's popping up in something that's being filmed right now for Disney.
The other option I don't have written down here is Doctor Strange is doing reshoots, and Doctor Strange is dealing with multiverse stuff right now in his movie, so maybe it's a cameo in there.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know. There's a lot of opportunities here. Michael Keaton, he's a must-have. He's probably one of the main reasons The Flash looks like a good movie coming up, because he's returning as Batman. All right. Here it is, meat of the episode, Mike. Everyone knows Spider-Man.
Stop sucking on the bone, everybody.
No Way Home trailer came out this past Tuesday afternoon.
Yes.
Mike did not go in person. It's fine. He had other things going on.
I had reasons. It was my birthday. I had a massage earlier that day, and I didn't want to follow up the nice massage with standing in line for a couple of hours. But funnily enough, the movie theater where this screening happened was the same movie theater that I saw The French Dispatch and Last Night in Soho. So I was there the day before and right after that happened. So I could smell the nerds after they had left.
Well, and it was weird because it's one of those things where I was like, people were live streaming this in the theater, and so like there was no secrecy around it really.
Yeah, once I saw that, I knew I wasn't gonna have FOMO, because there was just a bug in the back of my head that I was just like, maybe they'll show an exclusive clip, like maybe like 10 minutes, or who knows, maybe they'll go crazy and they'll show the whole movie to the whole crowd. But then once I saw that they weren't confiscating cell phones, I was just like, oh, this isn't going to be really anything. And I suppose, the attraction, the main attraction was Tom Holland showed up and maybe let one thing slip, but beyond that, like everything that was there you could have seen through the eyes of people posting on Twitter, which is what I did, and I saved my feet and then I just chilled on my birthday.
That's
so
right.
That's how it went for me.
And we refreshed furiously for a good 15 minutes there that evening, and then talked even more in depth about it. So we actually have 4 links to 4 versions of this goddamn trailer in our show notes right now. We have the official trailer, which is what we saw. There's a 4K version, which is one of the theater decompressed versions. There's an IMAX version, which shows the height, and that's important because all the MCU movies are going to IMAX on Disney Plus. And then a Brazilian version. We'll talk about why this Brazilian version is
it is now different. The Zapruder film.
Yeah, it is. And it's still out there. That's the weird part. I can't believe it's still out there. So this trailer gave us the confirmation. We have at least 5 returning villains in this movie.
Yes.
Right? We have
possibly 2 goblins. The jury's still out on the second unmasked goblin.
It is the 4K version will show you it is Norman Osborn on that one.
Okay.
So we actually have a Green Goblin, of course, Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe himself returning. An Electro, Jamie Foxx as a different Electro. Sandman, who's just sand at this point. I would like to think Thomas Hayden Church will return at some point, but we just have a huge sand at this point. The Lizard, which appears to be the same exact one from The Amazing Spider-Man, and Dr. Otto Octavius, which we already knew about pretty heavily. So.
Yeah, but now I would say Otto is probably the most important update to this trailer overall because, we'll just get it out there. We didn't see any additional Spider-Men. We'll talk about it maybe a little bit more when it comes to the Zapruder film portion of this topic, but no additional Spider-Men here. But Doc Ock, some interesting tidbits here. Yeah. He's got new updates to his arms, right?
It looks like when he's fighting Spider-Man on the bridge, the nanobots from the suit take over the arms.
Yes, he's got some cool kind of like red running accents along the octopus arms. We get to see his maybe the ending of his confrontation with Spider-Man on the bridge, finding out that he is not indeed the same Peter Parker that he is looking for. And then we get to see him I don't know if he's in like a magically enchanted cell, but he is underground with the children, and he is kind of quarantined off in this like cement gazebo. But he's not going anywhere, and he's not moving, and he's not trying, and he's just kind of like
he might even be helping.
Yeah, it's hard to say. There is a shot I noticed after watching the trailer for like the second or third time, where there's a big like lightning blast in a building, like a skyscraper, and Otto is flying out of it.
I think that might be the battle at the end, possibly.
Yeah, so there could be a confrontation there, but he does seem to have a more of a nebulous personality when it comes to the other characters in the film. And, you know, that would kind of make sense because his character in the Raimi Spider-Verse was always a good guy. It was just his technology that kind of overtook his brain. And even just before he, quote unquote, died, he redeemed himself and he saved Peter there with that fusion reactor and drowning it, and I think saved the whole city, or at least part of the city. So it wouldn't be that big of a turn for him to be a good guy. So I kind of like that positioning that they have for the character.
My theory with that is the Iron Man. So we know this. Spider-Man 2 is one of my favorite movies. So we know that when the robot hands are red, they're in control. They're like telling him what to do, and he's listening. When they're white, the chip is broken and he's in control. So my thought is the Stark tech is probably way smarter than his tech from his universe. Controls the arms, like quells the AI in the arms, and brings Octavius back. So he's trapped, and I think it's a prison. Like he talked about, like they're gonna have to return them to their own universes, right? Dr. Strange said that. There's a lot of doctors in this. So I think he is going to be helping them because he's probably got his human side back because of the Stark tech is still on his arms in that shot later. So, and then that would make sense if he's helping Spider-Man. You know, maybe he wants to return because all he wants to do is get back to his wife. That's really all. That's his tragic turn, was the loss of his wife.
Yeah, I mean, the big question here that we're trying to figure out is the chronology of all of this, right? Because we have another character we have to talk about, Electro, who's sporting a totally different look. And I've seen a lot of people saying that, like, oh, this could just be a totally different Electro, you know, from a totally different universe, from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe. But does that mean I feel like all of them would almost have to be from a different universe? But also at the same time in the trailer, Doctor Strange says, oh, all of these people have died by the hands of Spider-Man. That's why they're so pissed off and they're like coming at you. But if he just said they're dead, so how are they there? Like, are they coming back from the past? I'm sure the explanation is going to be pretty straightforward. We've just been handed it, right? So like, even when you see Willem Dafoe in his full Goblin uniform, he's actually the only one that I'm seeing in the very classic head-to-toe look. He almost looks identical to what he looked like in Spider-Man 1. So, yeah, my hands are just I'm the shrug emoji right now.
So
I don't know.
So I'm going to poke a hole in Doctor Strange's logic here because Sandman never died in any of the Raimi movies that we saw. He went off in the end, right? Him and Peter made his peace, and he went off into the world. The Lizard was turned back into a human in the end of Amazing Spider-Man 1 and put in jail. He was back into his human form, if you remember, at the end of that one. So technically, 2 of these, I guess 5, didn't die by Peter Parker in the movies we saw. So I think they are multiversal versions of these characters pulled from that, and then they not necessarily fought our versions of Spider-Man. There are other ones.
I mean, I guess that would be the multiversal cheat code, right? Yeah. Because there's an infinite, unlimited number of universes, right? So, you know, just by that definition, you could have any version of the characters that you want.
And it redeems the look of Jamie Foxx. He looks more... He even has like a little electric blast that looks like the old mask of Electro, like when he's up there. Like, I think it gives them an opportunity to like, okay, well, we didn't really like that one in particular. Let's do our version. But you know, we can say it's still...
But at the same time, like this is the thing that's a little bit discongruent, but also similar as well. When all of these characters move on to a new movie in the MCU, they always get a little bit of an upgrade on their suit, right? You know, Captain America's suit changes a little bit. You don't usually have to explain it. You know, Black Widow has new duds in every new movie, and that never gets explained.
And a different hairstyle, honestly, too.
Yeah. like I could theoretically imagine like a Spider-Man 4 from Raimi where Doc Ock comes back and he has like new arms and they have like the red flare to him, right? And nobody questions it and nobody asks like where he got it from. And I can even imagine a situation where like in another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie, Electro, like, you know, maybe he's not blue anymore and he's just got like new duds and maybe the blue just wore off. That was just his fresh Electro look, right? So that still could be a possibility. But yeah, you got the multiversal cheat code of just like, you know, just tweak the Tobey Maguire universe a little bit, and you know you have your Doc Ock with the red arms.
Yeah, well, you see, did you see in the nanobot slowly took over his arms while he was there, like in the trailer, like.
No, I don't think I caught that part.
Yeah, so like there's a shot where he's looking at his arms and you can see the red nanobots taking over his arms, like in there. Like it's not and then earlier on the bridge they're completely silver still. So either way, regardless, we have these shots. I sent you a photo right before we talked about this of Jamie Foxx. I didn't notice this the first time until someone else did these screenshots for me from the 4K version. He is got an arc reactor on his chest that he's using to power himself.
Oh yeah, you don't really see it until you get the up close shot.
Yep.
But yeah, it does. It does very much look like an arc reactor.
That is
like it could.
That is Iron Man 2's arc reactor.
Yeah, it could just be incidental, but it does look. So now, like, you can say, "Oh, I'm imagining a multiversal scenario where there is an Electro, and this Electro was so badass he took down Tony Stark, at least for a moment, in order to steal his arc reactor."
And he does have that. In the comic books, he was powered by a device, so there is logic here behind this and like his origin. But like, notice like his like got gold and red highlights on his like little medal he's wearing too. Mm-hmm. So like. I hope it's not all these multiversal villains have Tony Stark power, but I just wanted to see like I have not seen that triangle arc reactor since Iron Man 2. When he made that element, remember in his garage, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna rearrange these pipes here and make an element that my dad discovered 30 years ago."
It's just that easy.
Yeah.
It's just that easy, Chris.
Anyway, so there's that. Let's jump into the fun part here. The Brazil trailer. the trailer that has all the same footage minus one shot where you see what appears to be one Spider-Man jumping at the three new villains, right? Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard that were unveiled in this trailer. And it lingers on for like 4 or 5 seconds too long, and the Lizard does a complete 180 with his neck.
Yeah, we can't, like I don't know. I feel like there's Team Punch and Team Yank, right? And I feel like Team Yank is mainly motivated by Spider-Man as a web shooter, and you could see him possibly being maybe web shot and then swung around, or could be Team Punch. Punch makes a lot of sense, right? The way that neck is flipping around. Yeah. I didn't notice this because I didn't watch the I didn't see the Brazilian version at all. But it is so funny just to see people like analyzing it, and it does make a lot of sense. I think the thing that really proved it to me more than anything else, not like, because some people could say like, oh, maybe it was just a weird physics simulation that they forgot to cut out. But if you just look at the staging of the shot, right, the Lizard and Electro,
they're not running at him.
Yeah, they're not looking at they're looking off at perfectly blank spots on the frame, suited perfectly compositionally for 2 other Spider-Men. So it just really feels like that we're going to have the other 2 there. And I am very shocked that Sony that they pulled punches and didn't put these characters in the trailer. I mean, I like it, but it's weird though, because like everybody that is paying attention to Spider-Man knows that they're in the movie, but I suppose that there is a large contingent of people that will be buying tickets and seeing this movie that are going to be totally surprised, and I'm entirely envious of them.
Yeah, and I know I'd love to be in ignorant bliss watching this movie, but at the same time, you mentioned like, oh, it could be weird physics simulation. It doesn't matter. This movie is too big to leave something like this up. Like, I'm really surprised.
I agree.
I would have yanked. I mean, I've worked in social media before. I would have yanked it and put up the new version minus, like, I would have cut it myself. I'd have cut those frames. I just ended it short and gone to black. But like, they've left this up too long for it to be something weird. But like, I think this also goes to show they're cutting trailers to fool us. They're nothing is fair game here. Like, we can literally be proven wrong by any of these shots. It's just very, very, very sneaky. I do say I did. Well, I did have a little bit of a heart attack when I saw. They call her MJ, right, in this one.
Yeah, Mary Jane.
They don't call her Mary Jane. Is that her name though?
You're
Zendaya's character, yeah. Doing the same fall off the building scene that Emma Watson did in Amazing Spider-Man 2 right before they killed her.
Emma Stone. There's too many similar actors to keep track of all of this.
Yes, Emma Stone, who played Gwen Stacy. But I swore to God, I said out loud, "Oh my God, I bet Andrew Garfield saves her." Like, I thought, like, what if that's the reveal that they're in the same universe? Like, he's like, I'm not letting anyone fall again, kind of thing. Like, wouldn't that be a fantastic reference though back to his defining moment at the end of his movie?
And what if that's the reveal of the
character? Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
Like because Doctor Strange says, he even shows he's on top of the Statue of Liberty that now has Captain America's shield. He's like, I can't stop them coming through. Is it heroes? Is it villains? Is this something else? Because we know there's a multiverse of madness coming. I'm very excited to see what that is.
I would like to use this portion of the show to throw out the most wild idea that you think could happen, right? Because this is a whole multiversal rip where things are opening. We don't know if this portion that ends the trailer is happening before Toby and Andrew pop up or after. If you just had to take a wild just assumption of maybe what could come through that portal, what would your guess be? Do you have any wishes, any hopes, any dreams? Because right now, I feel like we're not going to be very surprised because everything has leaked in this movie. Like, do you think Sony has anything pulled back that no one has guessed yet?
That's a great question. The problem is the only other live action Spider-Man one we have is from the 70s in the Japanese one. So like, I don't see the animated Spider-Man Spider-Verse characters coming through, right? Like, I think it would be crazy as hell if they got just CGI versions and the same voice actors from Into the Spider-Verse to do like maybe like photorealistic life versions like Spider-Man Noir, right? Or Spider-Man 2099 suit, even for a moment. Like, imagine that scene. I know you're not a fan of Iron Man 3, but the scene at the end with all the armors is cool as shit, right? Like when he pulls all the armors. So like, imagine that, but with just Spider-Man suits. Like, we don't have to know who is in them. Like, it could just be CGI, but like, what if that was like who's coming through as well? Yeah,
maybe Doctor Strange is like straining to kind of hold those rifts closed with his magic, and then you can kind of just see silhouettes of other. My big like dark horse guess, I'm just gonna throw it out there in the world, that this multiversal rip will establish a ghost Spider or Spider Gwen, however you want to refer to her. Like, she will be like a multiversal immigrant, if you will.
Like an actual... that's how Miles got into the main universe. What if that's how they pull him in after we talked about him?
Yeah. I mean, maybe. But the one thing I feel like that's very important to Miles' character is his relationship with his family. So I feel like if we never get to establish that, and also his uncle, I feel like we're missing a little bit. But I feel like with Spider-Gwen, we really just kind of want to see an alternate version of Gwen Stacy that is Spider. Yeah. So I think that's my wild guess. If it doesn't happen, it's not that big of a deal. But I do feel like there should be a consequence of this happening, right? You know, it's hard for me to believe that this will all be like sealed up in a nice bow at the very end. And we know Doctor Strange is going to go on into his own movie, probably to solve this problem finally. But you know, it would be kind of cool if maybe there was something left over, right? After all of this madness, somebody gets left behind and somebody has to deal with this new world.
You want my thought? You want my theory?
Yes, absolutely.
Tom Holland will not be in the MCU anymore after this. He will go to a different universe to save this world.
Yeah, but just in time when Venom and Tom Hardy lands in their universe, it seems like that they would want to stay together for a little while.
They don't say that he landed in the MCU proper. He just landed in the universe where Spider-Man is. Like, there could be another. Maybe. He could be another one. Like, I look. would I'm thinking I'm going out on a limb here, like you said, biggest craziest thing.
Like I said, shots out in the and we gotta put it out there into the universe, Chris, because if it does actually happen, we can roll back and we can cut an awesome clip and be like, wow, look at these guys, they guessed it before anyone else even thought of it.
He will not make it to. He will have to sacrifice something to win this, and I'm thinking it's his place in this universe is what he's going to sacrifice for that. All
right. There we go. We got the two theoretical guesses up there on the board. Let's see how they pan out.
Yes, we do. And the next thing you should prepare for after Thanksgiving, after your Black Friday, you get to prepare for Spider Monday, which, like you said, Mike, they said with such confidence, like we have called it this for years. And I was like, what the fuck do they mean? Until someone said, oh, it's Cyber Monday. They're selling tickets on Spider Monday, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it with everything in my being. And I will be buying my tickets as soon as I can on Monday.
I feel like we got to be getting something new on Spider Monday. It might not be a trailer, it might not be any footage, but I am expecting at least a new poster on Spider Monday, right? That has the whole cast of like the Sinister Six or whatever it might end up being will be on the poster. Probably no other additional Spider people, or maybe there will be. Maybe there'll be a couple extra just Spider like gloves in the corner and everything to kind of start hinting at it. I don't know, but I'm sure we'll have something to report on next week when it comes to Spider Monday. Well, not next week. It would be the following week. But yeah.
There are about I think 8 TV spots that have dropped as well this weekend. So we probably have some more. I hate TV spots. I think they ruin too much of everything. So so just keep your eyes out for those, or start blocking those keywords if you want to stay unspoiled for Spider-Man, which drops in a month, a little less than a month, Mike. So December 17th. Anything else you want to add to this? It was a big topic. It was a big week for this.
Yeah, it gave us a lot to talk about, but it was a little underwhelming, I would say, right? And I think it's just because we've known all of this for so long because they're so bad at keeping any of this secret. And I do wonder if it's just maybe because like Sony is involved and they just are having trouble keeping the lips tight, or is this just such a big, huge crossover that there was no way it was ever going to be able to keep under wraps, right?
There's a lot of famous actors and a lot of people working on this. I mean,
So it's like I watched the trailer and I was like, yeah, this is cool. I liked it. But, I was expecting the additional Spider-Man, which I was not given. So just another reason I'm glad I didn't wait in line to go watch a trailer. I just sat on my couch and watched it in the peace of my own home.
There you go. Well, we'll talk about it when it comes out later. Switching gears into Star Wars, actress Natasha Liu Bordizzo has been cast as Sabine Wren in the upcoming series. Are you familiar with the character Sabine Wren?
No, and I feel like just with everything Star Wars recently, I'm running to Google so quickly. So either to look up timelines or to look up where the character's from, because if it's a Filoni thing, it's probably from a cartoon.
It is. It's Rebels. So she's a Star Wars Rebels character, and she was she's technically, I guess, she's a Mandalorian, if you will, because Filoni's got a hard on for Mandalorians. And everything he does. So she ends up holding the Darksaber at one point in that, which is, a big touching point in the show, The Mandalorian. And she's, I believe, the love interest of Ezra Bridger, who we know is going to be coming to the show as well. So we assume she was with Ahsoka the whole time. So in the times I've been not in the Skywalker saga. So no surprise here that she was it. I don't know this actress myself, but seems to fit the bill pretty good. The news follows that they will be filming this up until the fall of 2022, and it will debut in spring of 2023 for the Ahsoka show. So, all right, seems to be fine for me, right? I got nothing else to add to that.
Like I said, I didn't watch Rebels, so I'm just kind of like, all right.
Yeah, Sabine's pretty cool. She's a pretty cool character, and has a lot to do with, again, like the Darksaber, which you see in that in the Mandalorian. So we're gonna shift gears here. I just added this note here. This is live off the presses, Mike. Live. The rumor for the Batman is actor Barry Keoghan, who played Druig in the Eternals, is the Joker in the Batman movie. He was supposed to play like some sort of detective, but everyone's thinking that that's just a cover up because his brother on the now deleted Facebook post said So it's finally out. My brother playing the Joker in the new Batman, Unreal stuff.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, I don't think that was out there, dude. But no one thought they're getting Barry Keoghan for a small role, right? Everyone knew like he's probably playing something important in this movie.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with his accent outside of being Irish, I believe. So I would assume he's got a convincing American accent. I mean, I suppose the Joker could be Irish. There's no reason we couldn't have a Joker at some point in time with an accent. But he's a Hollywood actor. I'm sure he's got an American accent he can pull off.
I'm sure they have the budget to get him an accent coach for that. So I only know him from the Eternals. I know he's also in the Green Knight, which is on my to watch list this year. And other people knew him from the movie Dunkirk. I think he's a good actor. So we'll see if this is true or not. I mean, you never know. People don't know when they post stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if it really is true. I don't see him as a Joker, but who knows? Well, how do they even fit him in the movie?
You can always go back to the classic internet posts of nobody thought Heath Ledger could be the Joker either. So he is now the setting point for, you just got to wait till you see it.
Yeah, I just don't want them to put the Riddler and the Joker and the Penguin and who else and so on and so forth in one movie, right? Like they need to earn it. So
hopefully it's like subtle, right? Like not necessarily like an end credit scene, but it's just like
they're building
establish him in a brief scene, and then
so getting there. Lastly, Halo Monday was a big Microsoft day. They had some announcements for the 20th anniversary of Xbox Live and Halo, and I think Halo in general. And so to do that, they did a bunch of Halo stuff. They showed some documentaries coming out, some other stuff. They showed us literally the shortest teaser of the TV series coming to Paramount Plus. Like, literally, this could have been from the games, is how little it was. Like, it's just literally someone putting on the suit that we know.
Yeah. It's funny because this is kind of like, a very official, like, I would say, like, top tier, hopefully, adaptation of the Halo universe, right? Not the first, right? Definitely not the first. But since we have already kind of seen official kind of live action versions of like Spartans in general, and I think even Master Chief
for the commercials,
it wasn't very exciting, this teaser, right? To see like the armor and the gauntlets and like the glimpse of the helmet and stuff. Just like, well, we've seen all of this before with the very high budgets for like commercials and stuff like that. So I think we're gonna need to see a little bit more. I need to
see the world. Like Halo's about the world and what he's doing and fighting, and not the armor.
Also a weird thing too that they have to contend against. I have seen very like high end like cosplay of like Master Chief for 2 decades now, right? For a very, very long time. Like I've seen the character interpreted in live action. So now I feel like if I see him in a trailer or a promo, it's just going to feel like some kid on YouTube made it, right? So I almost feel like maybe they need to do something to his costume that a normal just person off the street, even with really good technique and gear, couldn't do, right? What's a little thing that like a cosplayer doesn't have access to, like some sort of like crazy like molding process or intricate details that not just anybody can pull off, because that's going to be the only way that they differentiate this suit from just everything that I've seen on like the cosplay Reddit boards, right?
I think the other thing is movement. You don't see cosplayers move like the Master Chief does in the games, right? They usually just kind of stand around or lumber around a Comic-Con floor.
Yeah, and then the big armor plates just kind of like jingle around, like, right? Like
it's gonna come down to the movement, how fast he is, how big he is. I mean, he's supposed to be like 7 to 8 foot tall person, right, in that suit, like a genetically modified person in that suit. So I need to see the scale of it, and I need to see the weight of it as well. So this was just really, really a lackluster teaser for me as a longtime Halo fan. Now the other big thing was they literally dropped Halo Infinite's multiplayer a month earlier, quote unquote, calling it a beta for people to play if you have an Xbox or a PC. Now, Mike, you were able to test it through Xbox Game Pass. You were playing it on your iPad
Laptop.
with or laptop with a PlayStation controller.
I felt like even though it was like all official, what I was doing, it felt very jerry-rigged. Like I looked up the requirements to play Xbox cloud gaming, whatever it's called, and actually my iOS devices that I have are too old for it.
Okay.
At least what they recommend right now. I went back in since I had the app and I was signed in and everything. I opened it up on my phone and I got it to work. So I think those are just maybe requirements, not like dead set. If you have an iPhone 8, you're not going to be able to get it launched, right? Yeah. So I had a PlayStation controller, Bluetooth connected to my Mac computer, playing a Microsoft game. It just felt very, very funny to me. All things considered, the tech it's very cool, right? Just to imagine it. We've talked about cloud gaming before on the show, but it just felt a little different playing like a very premium Halo title. Halo has always felt like something that was like a walled garden, right? Unless you're fully invested in Microsoft, you're not going to be able to play it. And here I am on a Mac computer with a PlayStation controller. Yeah. But there was, even though I suffered very little visual degradation when it comes to like stalling or like little glitches on the screen, it just couldn't quite live up to the pace of like competitive shooting, right? Like there was always just a very slight delay when I moved the joystick, which is just very disoriented when you're playing like, especially a game that like like I have muscle memory tied to my puberty brain, right, of when I played this game like way back in the day, right? And it was great being able to jump back into it. Like even though I was on a PlayStation controller this time around, I knew all of the buttons and what triggers did what. I got very used to it very quickly after a couple of matches. But yeah, the cloud aspect of it, it's just not quite there. But I'm also kind of curious, like, is it just my brain messing with me, right? Have I been playing Warzone too much, and just like Halo's a much more floaty game, so maybe is that it? I even turned my sensitivity up all the way to 10 on the Halo game, and I felt like I could have increased it to 1,000, and I wasn't like seeing any difference. Mm-hmm. So I would be curious, Chris, if you could like play some of the multiplayer, on your console, get used to it, get the feel of it, and then switch over to a totally cloud match, that's not running off of your Xbox, that's running off of a server, maybe somewhere in like Texas or California, and just see if you notice any of a difference, and just to know if I'm going crazy or not.
I don't think you're going crazy. There is the delay. Like every time I do cloud, I always make sure I'm hardwired into something rather than wireless, because you have that Wi-Fi, like you're literally Bluetoothing to a device, which is then Wi-Fiing to your router, which is then connecting to a server.
I suppose I could try that. That is one thing that I could try. I was on Wi-Fi.
And I usually try to connect my controller directly to the device as well, through USB, just as a I know there's that lag in there, especially if you're playing an online game. Shooters are about reaction, right? Like being fast and being able to react to that. So like I can see why the cloud would have that issue and that results. But I think are you on like the free trial? Is that right?
Well, there for the first month you can get it for just $1, and I think that's just because they want you to plug in some sort of payment method. Pretty low stakes, a very low investment.
Try. They have hundreds of games. Try another one that's maybe not online and see what you think. Like I would love to get your feedback on Microsoft, because we've tried Amazon's. Amazon was way too laggy for me to do racing. Stadia I didn't really get into a whole lot. What was the other one that came out? Was it GeForce? So I'd love to get your feedback on maybe something like one of the ones I usually play on cloud gaming on my phone is Banjo-Kazooie, the old N64 game, which is on there because Microsoft owns Rare, or like something that's you're not relying on connecting to a server with 30 other people, like possibly playing on their PCs.
Yeah, it is important to note when I went on the website to sign up, they still have the word beta everywhere. So they are not under any delusions that this is ready to go full time. But it is fun to like imagine a universe where cloud gaming actually works. And then when you go to buy an Xbox console, there is an option in your head where like, oh, I'm sure they would still make hardware for it, but it would just be like a small little, almost like Xbox streaming box, maybe like the size of like a couple like decks of cards or something. And you plug that in and that's doing all of it.
Let me blow your mind here. You can actually play all the cloud games on your Xbox now. Like if you have a Series S or a Series X, you can do all that gaming on the Xbox.
But that costs hundreds of dollars.
Right, but I'm just saying,
like I'm imagining something like $99. You know, visually on the outside of it, it has like the slick kind of like Xbox like look and feel. You could plug a controller into it if you want, but like there's no all the hardware in there is all like streaming hardware.
Right. But like I don't think they're going to go to a price at that point. Like everyone has a phone, everyone has a tablet probably or a computer. I think they've drawn that line, but like the Series S is $300 for a next gen console. That just doesn't have a disc tray. I think it would be a great... I've heard people have actually used the dev kit on that to turn it into an emulation machine, as well as like do streaming and stuff like that. So I know what you're talking about, but like literally Microsoft is going in on like, we are into the surface of games, getting games into people's hands, and I think that's a really good thing. But
playing the cloud version, it's almost like frustrating because it's like you can tell they're so close, right?
Yeah.
You can tell like we're on the cusp of like, if they just get it working, the whole game industry is changing, right? Mm-hmm. All of this hardware, like there's always going to be like people like the PC heads that like want the highest, best, top tier performance, right? But we are just right on the cusp of like the majority of gamers moving to like a streaming platform.
Yeah, I'd love to see them get over that last bit, and that might be, when you said that might be the hardware recommendations, Mike, because if you think maybe it's the newer Wi-Fi they're looking for in the newer devices to increase their bandwidth
I wasn't
speed.
playing. I was not playing on a device though. I was playing on my MacBook Pro.
I don't know how old your MacBook Pro is.
2020, baby.
Okay,
it's one of the last ones that you could get with the touch bar.
Gotcha. Okay, I couldn't remember. I know you guys have several devices. I know your iPad's an older one. Your Pro's an older one. Like
a little older of an iPad.
Yeah. So anyway, it doesn't matter. But they dropped this. So Halo multiplayer, the key of this is free now. And anyone can really play it, as Mike attests, across anything. Like it's mostly for Xbox and PC, which is where you want to play it. You would want to probably do the cloud stuff, but like it is just wild that I've never heard a game surprise drop their one of their biggest, the draws of growing up was playing Halo all the time. Every weekend you have a job, no, you're playing Halo at your buddy's house. Like everyone grab your tube TV and your chonky Xbox controller and let's load up and go have Halo parties. So like I can't believe they dropped this a month early from the official release, or 3 weeks early. And I was playing a couple rounds with my brother-in-law today. We grew up together playing it, and it's just like we've talked about things. How do you keep surprises in today's world? With leaks in the industry and stuff like that. And I was just really, really impressed that they were able to do so like that, like right then and there. So.
Yeah. I've been having fun watching the clips that people are posting because you can do some pretty cool stuff with that grappling hook.
Yeah,
it kind of has some momentum effects, right? If you're like launching, I saw somebody like launch a 4-wheeler off of a ramp or something, and then they grappled onto the 4-wheeler, and then the momentum transferred to the character. So
yeah.
I've seen other people like save their lives. So like there's some pretty cool things with that little feature. I love traversal mechanics in games. That's always fun.
Yeah, that one's really fun because you can you're familiar with hijacking in Halo, right? Like if you're able to get an enemy car, you hijack them if you grapple them, like and get to them. But my favorite is it's called the repulsor. It's like a quick blast backwards of everything. So if someone throws a grenade at you, you blast them, and it can go back at them. And I stuck somebody earlier with their own grenade who like tried to do it.
Oh, that's cool.
Or you'll knock a vehicle over the edge of a map or something.
Is that what happens when the arm kind of goes up, like almost like they're holding like an invisible shield?
Yes, it's just
that is.
Yep,
oh, okay.
Quick blast. Yep. So definitely a lot of fun, a lot of new stuff, a lot of pressure riding on Halo with their show and their games and everything. So. I'm hoping we have a good year for Halo all around. So probably talk about more about that when that drops on December 8th with the campaign. I'd love to get your feedback on the campaign as well, since you can play the campaign through the cloud, and that'll be
and maybe that will be a little bit, maybe the campaign, Ethernet into the computer, hardwire, plug the controller into the Mac. I'm not exactly sure how that works. A PlayStation controller hardwired into the machine. But I'll give that a shot, and maybe via the campaign. Yeah. I can play the campaign for free?
Yeah.
Or do I have to buy the game?
If you have Game Pass Ultimate, which is it is included.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. And there's also different tiers of Game Pass, but I just went with the highest quality tier since it was only $1.
Ultimate is the only one that offers the streaming that you did. Regular Game Pass is like Netflix. You can just download the games and play them. So
Gotcha. All right, yeah, I'll give that a try, and I will report back next week to see if I saw any improvements.
Well, it's 2 weeks. The 8th is when the campaign comes out.
Oh, well, yeah, because I was on the menu and I thought I saw the word.
It says campaign, but it doesn't. It's not it's not downloadable or playable even until the 8th.
Gotcha.
So
all right.
That's
the plus of cloud gaming, Chris. I don't got to download shit. It'll just be there.
Exactly, and that's what's cool about having it on the console is like games are getting larger, right? We play Call of Duty, that thing balloons up in space. So like I'm very excited to test. I've tested games that are on cloud without having to download them to my console and play them really fast. So that's been something cool to just fire up and go really, really, really quickly. And I was able to get the new Halo Xbox Series X, and I got that fired up and going. That's pretty cool. I'm a Halo head, Mike. Can't help it. That's where I go. Well, that is the episode for the week, Mike. We got our Spider-Man, and that's really what we were looking for. And I'm excited that we got that, and we got more. What we were looking earlier, we only got a couple more movies the rest of the year, right? Kingsman, The Matrix, and Spider-Man, right? That's what we're clocking in.
Yeah, exactly. We're closing up the end of the year. Still have to watch Dune. Got to go catch Ghostbusters. So I'm getting back into the movies, so that's good. So we'll see how it all shakes out here before 2022.
Yeah, sounds good for me. Mike, if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Oh, they can find me at Mike Royer Design at Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you chilling in that Buc-ee's onesie?
Oh, on my Buc-ee's onesie. You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87. My Xbox gamer tag is also Valdan, Valdan, if anyone's playing Halo. So let me know what you want to do. If people want to know about the show, what we do, where they can find us, where they can leave us a review. I'd like to see some reviews this time of year. That's a great Christmas present for us. Since, like we said at the top show, we don't get paid to do this. Some reviews would be nice instead. So where can they do that at?
Oh, head on over to Superhero Slate HQ, which is superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our kick-ass show notes. So if you want to see all of those different versions of the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, we got that collected in our show notes. If you want to see that poster for the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride, we got that in our show notes, and so many other things. So you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts, and wherever else you love to review fine podcasts like ours. We really appreciate that. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Reach out and let us know what your crazy expectations are for the very end of Spider-Man No Way Home. What do you think that they're going to throw into the universe through that universal rift? What's your crazy suggestions? You got to let us know, because if it happens, we can give you the street cred because you said it here first. So reach out, let us know, and if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy. Go get your booster shot, because those are becoming a lot more available for all ages out there. So go get that. Make sure you're protected, and we'll all be going back to the movies here this December to catch Spider-Man. So that's it for me, folks.
All right, we'll see you folks next week.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.